and maybe a few of the things that haven't quite hit the mark when it comes to this new Asics shoe from Asics. It weighs in at 360 grams. Welcome back folks, I'm Lloyd Purvis and this is Run4Adventure. Really hope you enjoyed the last video on the channel where we actually managed to get outside on the beautiful, stunning Cornish trails in some amazing weather and do some running and some filming. Seems like a long time ago since we got outside and did some filming, especially with the niggles that I've been having in my calf, so good to be back out there. But if you're new to the channel and you're enjoying what you're seeing, then why not hit that subscribe button? It only takes a second. Come along and join the Run4Adventure family. It's completely free to do so, but it really helps to support the channel. While you're there guys, why not hit that bell icon so you get notified when we upload any new content. I don't know whether you folks can see, but I've got two of my Ark of Attrition buckles on the shelf there. I filmed this on Friday the 29th at 10 AM in the morning, and it should be Raid Light Ark of Attrition weekend this weekend. I should be down on the start line as we speak, getting ready to start that epic challenging race. So gutted that the race isn't on this year. I totally understand why it's not on, but really gutted. I really love being involved in the Ark of Attrition weekend, whether I'm racing or filming. Such a wicked event put on by Mud Crew. If you're having Ark of Attrition blues or you've never heard of the Ark of Attrition before, definitely worth checking out a film that we made at last year's event where we followed race winner Steve Wyatt. It's called The Pirate. We'll leave a link in the description. It's definitely worth checking out. I think it really captures how tough and how gnarly the event is, but it also captures the emotion and the atmosphere of the event, which is amazing. So definitely worth going and checking out The Pirate. We are trying to keep our promise and bring you guys as much fun running related content as we can this year, and we are back today with another shoe review. Just before we dive into the review, we just want to say hope you're enjoying the changes that we've made to the channel. You know, our new shiny background, and also the changes to the scoring system for when we review kit at Run4Adventure. If you've followed the channel for some time now, you'll know before we do a shoe review, we like to get around 40 or 50 miles into that shoe, and we feel that's really important at the channel. We're not the sort of channel that puts a new shoe on, runs around our living room a few times and then gives you guys a review. We want to get some good miles in the shoe so that we can give you a fun and honest and an interesting review, but also a review that is full of helpful information for you guys at home. But we are going to make changes here as well. Like we said before, we want to bring you as many shoe reviews as we can this year, and I think to maintain this and to keep up with this, we're going to have to lower that mileage figure a little bit. We've got shoes stacking up behind the scenes, and we've got quite a few shoes on their way to Run4Adventure HQ as we speak. So our plans are, and we thought long and hard about this, is to lower that 40 or 50 miles to about 30 miles. So still a good number of miles to get in a shoe before we review it on the channel. It still gives us the ability to get 2 or 3 shorter, quicker runs in, and then a longer run of double figures. It still allows us the time to run the shoes on lots of different terrains in different weather conditions as well. So we'll still formulate a really good idea of how that running shoe is going to perform, and I think I can keep up with the shoe reviews by running about 50 or 60 miles a week there, which I think, fingers crossed, is a lot more manageable. Another reason for lowering that mileage figure to 30 is in the past there's been a few shoes on the channel that I've bought to test and review. You take them out of the box, take them for a spin the first time, and you know almost instantly that this shoe isn't really going to work for you, and it's not that comfortable to run in. The downside to that is you now know you've got 40 to 45 miles to run in a shoe that you're not getting on with. This can really have a negative impact on my running, and it was, you know, I wasn't looking forward to going out on my next run because I knew I was going to be in a shoe that I didn't really like. So by lowering that mileage to 30, I can still get the mileage in them shoes that maybe I'm not getting on with and bring you guys a review at the channel. And it's not going to have too much of a negative impact on my running, but that's enough of me waffling on. We've got a shoe review to film today, and in today's review we are looking at a new trail running shoe from Asics, the Gel-Trabuco 9. It's always good when we review a new brand on the channel, and yep, this is the first time that Asics has appeared on Run4Adventure, believe it or not. If I'm honest, the reason that is because I've never really got on with their shoes. I've always found them a bit heavy, a bit stiff, and I've never found them that comfortable to run in. Now, Asics made a lot of good changes in 2020, and it looks like that's going to continue into 2021. They produced some really interesting and very popular running shoes last year, so we thought it was about time we brought the brand on the channel, and you'll definitely be seeing a lot more shoe reviews from the Asics brand this year. The Gel-Trabuco 9 is actually the first time that I've run in a trail running shoe from this brand, so without further ado, let's give you a few facts and figures on this new trail running shoe from Asics. The shoe retails in the UK for £120 and runs off an 8mm offset. So you've got 19mm on your heel and 11mm under your forefoot. Weight-wise, it weighs in a men's shoe at 306 grams and in a women's shoe 256 grams. It's available in 2 colour options for men and for women. And when it comes to the fit of the shoe, I would say it sizes up true to size with a narrow fit in the toe box. The Gel-Trabuco 9 has been completely re-engineered by Asics, so let's take a closer look at the construction of this new trail running shoe, and let's start with the upper first. The upper of the shoe has been completely reimagined using a lighter weight, more breathable mesh construction, which has actually saved 30 grams in weight when you compare it to the previous version of the shoe, so a really good start there. You also get some nice structural 3D printed overlays on the midfoot of the shoe to give you that very precise fit and to cut back on any lateral movement. You've got a nice rubber toe protector around the toe box of the shoe just to give you that little bit more protection when running in technical areas. And then down to the tongue of that upper, it's well padded, it's gusseted to give you that nice lockdown around the midfoot, and Asics have also worked a cheeky little lace pocket in the tongue as well. Working our way to the back end of the shoe, and we've got a nicely padded heel collar and ankle collar. We've got an internal heel counter to anchor the foot to the midsole to reduce any in-shoe slippage, and then on the back of the shoe we've got this nice handy heel tab just to aid you when getting in and out of the shoe. Working down to the midsole of the shoe, and it is constructed using flight foam compound for advanced comfort, and then coupled with Asics gel technology in the heel counter for increased impact protection. The Gel-Trabuco 9 is also one of the very few trail running shoes to offer the runner a bit more medial structure in the midsole of the shoe. Asics have added the Duo Max support system to the medial side of this shoe, so the compound on the medial side is slightly firmer in density to offer a nice stable ride, just to control a bit of inward rotation or overpronation in a runner's foot strike. I'm not really sure whether a trail running shoe needs this level of structure, but this shoe has it. Working down to the outsole of the shoe, a super important part of our trail running shoes, that's for sure, and this outsole is clad using Asics grip rubber. Maybe not the most imaginative name there from Asics. We've also got this aggressive multi-directional lug, which incorporates this up and downhill pattern on the medial and lateral side of the shoe, offering excellent levels of traction on slippy terrain. Additionally to this, you have a rock protection plate placed into the midsole of the shoe, just to shield the foot from any aggressive terrain or trail debris without compromising flexibility. So there you have it, a few facts and figures and a bit of information about the materials and the compounds used in the construction of this new trail running shoe from Asics. But let's go through some of the things that have really impressed us with the Gel-Trabuco 9 and maybe have a look at some of the things that haven't quite hit the mark with this new shoe. But let's start with the good stuff first. For a change, we're going to start at the bottom and we're going to talk about the outsole on this shoe and the level of grip it provided me. In the UK, it can be super tricky when it comes to the grip on our trail running shoes, especially in a British winter. But the grip from the outsole on the Gel-Trabuco 9 has handled it all really well. The level of traction from this outsole has really surprised me on all the surfaces I've ran it. So I think a lot of the grip comes from this brilliant Asics grip rubber. Super sticky. You can feel it being really sticky when you're on wet road or wet rock. It really bites in, really grips in. But also, I think it's from the lug pattern on the shoe. When I was doing a bit of research on the shoe, in the gump for the shoe, it said it had this uphill, downhill lug pattern. I thought it was all a bit of marketing waffle, but it actually does what it says it does. You feel really grippy when you're driving up a hill, even if it's soft sand, and then you feel very connected and very confident in your footing if you're running down a steep technical descent. So a massive big tick in the box when it comes to the grip from the outsole of the Gel-Trabuco 9. The flight foam compound used in the midsole offers a really comfortable ride over all terrains without compromising any ground contact. So even when you move into a more technical trail environment, you still still feels super connected and very stable underfoot. I am a massive fan of a rock plate in the forefoot of a trail running shoe, as long as you can't feel it underfoot and it doesn't take away any of the flexibility from the midsole of that shoe. The rock plate in the Gel-Trabuco 9 worked really well. I really couldn't feel it there at all until I ran into a more technical environment, and then it offered me just the right level of protection from any sharp rocks or trail debris. Moving on to the upper of the shoe and a few of the standout features. The first feature we're going to talk about is something that I've sort of learned to look out for in my trail shoes through experience. I'm sure it's happened to a lot of you guys at home as well, where you're just running along the trails in summer. We've had a bit of sunshine, but being Britain, we've had a bit of rain as well, and the trails are quite overgrown in areas, and you're struggling to see the trails under your feet. Unbeknown to you, there's this big stone sitting up in the middle of the trails waiting to be kicked. I actually did it in a race once where I was bobbing along, minding my own business, and I kicked this stone full pelt in a shoe that didn't have any toe protection. It can be a really painful experience, and you can really suffer in the aftermath, and I'm still got a few missing toenails from that experience. So I tend to look for a good level of toe protection in my trail shoes, and the Gel-Trabuco 9 with this big rubberized toe protector offers a brilliant level of protection while out on the trails. The upper in the shoe felt nice and comfortable, very breathable, and offered a really good fit around my midfoot. And then you pair that up with the gusseted tongue in the shoe. I didn't have any lateral movement, so a nice level of lockdown around my midfoot. Another good feature is this little pocket in the tongue of the shoe for your laces. I've had these pockets in shoes before and they haven't worked particularly well, but this one's really good. It's really well placed, so it's really easy to get the laces up into that pocket to get them out of the way so you don't snag them as you're making your way along the trails. And I didn't have the laces fall out once, so a great handy little pocket that worked really well. So all in all, I've been really happy with my first experience of an Asics trail running shoe, and if I'm honest, I wasn't expecting a lot from this shoe, especially in British winter conditions. So lots of positives, but there was a few issues along the way that I feel just let this shoe down a bit, but I think they're things that could be improved quite easily. The first and probably the biggest issues I had with the shoe came down to fit. The shoe is quite shallow in the heel, so there's not a lot of depth to that heel cup, and the first time I put my foot in the shoe, I noticed that straight away, and instantly I wondered whether it'd cause any slippage issues while I was out running in the shoe. On my first run in the shoe, I definitely had a bit of movement in that heel cup on my left hand side, which would kind of make sense because my left foot is slightly smaller than my right. After a bit of adjustment to the laces and a bit more time in the shoe, I did get that fit a bit better, and it did settle down when it came to movement. Unfortunately, that's quite a negative thing for me. I like to take a trail shoe out of the box and it feel super secure, and I want to feel really dialed into it straight away, especially if I'm moving at speed in technical trails. And I never really got that feel from this shoe. Even though it improved over time and it got better with adjustment, I still didn't feel dialed in and locked into this heel cup. The next thing to mention was actually a positive for me, but I think it would be a negative for a lot of viewers watching this review, so I really wanted to mention it in this part of the review. This is a very narrow fitting shoe. Now, I've got a narrow foot shape, so it actually fitted my foot pretty well and felt quite comfortable, but if you've got any width to your forefoot or midfoot, or you like a lot of room in the toe box of the shoe, I think you'd really struggle in this shoe. I know Asics have always been known as a very narrow fitting shoe brand, but I was actually surprised how narrow this shoe was. It's narrow in the toe, narrow in the midfoot, and narrow in the heel, so pretty narrow. Obviously, when it comes down to fit of shoes, it's super individual, it's very personal, and it comes down to each individual's foot shape. But I feel if this shoe was a bit deeper in that heel cup and I felt a bit more secure in the back end of the shoe, it really would have improved the overall performance of the Gel-Trabuco 9. Right, that has been the highs and lows of running in this new trail running shoe, but let's get scoring the Gel-Trabuco 9, and as always, we are going to start with price. The shoe retails for £120 in the UK, and I think that's a pretty fair price for a solid shoe that has run well across all terrains, and you could run this shoe all year round. With running shoe prices going through the roof at the moment with the introduction of carbon plate technology, I think £120 for a workhorse trail shoe is a pretty fair price. So at Run4Adventure, for the Gel-Trabuco 9, we're going to score it a 7 out of 10 for price. Next up to be scored is comfort and performance, and I've actually enjoyed running this shoe a lot more than I thought I would. The level of grip and traction I got from this outsole was brilliant and a big surprise. This Asics grip compound, super super sticky on wet rock, wet tarmac, but then you've got enough lug depth, and this aggressive layout gives you a nice level of grip in muddy conditions too. The flight foam compound in the midsole of the shoe works really well and gives you that really good balance between cushioning and connection to the trails under your foot. Having a rock plate worked into the forefoot of that midsole, really good feature, something I always look for in my trail running shoes. The fact I'm quite narrow in foot shape, the shoe fitted my foot shape really well. I felt well locked in and dialed in around that midfoot, especially with that gusseted tongue in the upper. Such a shame when it comes down to the back end of the shoe, and it took a bit of adjustment and a few runs to get that heel locked down a bit better, and I still wasn't 100% convinced with that. So because of that, when it comes down to comfort and performance for the Gel-Trabuco 9 from Asics, we're going to score it a 7 out of 10. Last to be scored at the channel is durability, and the Asics shoe looks to be really solid when it comes down to its construction. Obviously, we've only put 30 miles in the shoe so far. We'll get a much better understanding of this once we do our 100-mile shoe review, which we'll bring to the channel once we got that mileage in the shoe. But for now, there's no early signs of fatigue or wearing that upper at all. The outsole of the shoe is holding up really well and pretty much looks brand new. So for durability, we're going to give the shoe a solid 8 out of 10. So tallying all those points up at Run4Adventure for the Gel-Trabuco 9 from Asics, it's going to score 22 out of 30. So that is our performance scores done for this new trail running shoe for Asics, but we always like to discuss the looks and the colorways of the kit that we review on Run4Adventure. So what do I think about the looks of this trail running shoe? Well, I think it's okay. It doesn't really blow me away, but it's definitely not the worst looking running shoe I've ever seen. I think Asics have done a pretty good job on it. I feel the women's colorways of the shoe are a lot stronger than the men's. So the shoe is just gonna manage to get a thumbs up for looks at Run4Adventure. But we are rapidly moving towards the end of this video, so let's wrap this review up with a quick conclusion. The first thing I'll say is if you've got a lot of width to your midfoot or forefoot, or you just like a lot of volume in your trail running shoes, then this is probably not the shoe for you. If you're a bit more like me and you've got quite a narrow foot shape and you're looking for that sort of one-stop shop trail running shoe, a shoe that's going to run over all surfaces, it's going to take you throughout the year, but it's probably not going to blow your mind when it comes to performance, but it's going to perform consistently and sort of be that workhorse trail running shoe, but it will offer a good level of traction when it comes to the outsole on all surfaces. Then the Gel-Trabuco 9 from Asics is well worth a look. So just a few quick comparisons for you guys at home when it comes to the Gel-Trabuco 9 from Asics. I would say it runs very similar to a Brooks Cascadia, even though it does offer a much better level of traction from the outsole. Quite similar to a La Sportiva Acacia, a Saucony Exodus and a Hoka Speedgoat, but that is a wrap on another review at Run4Adventure. Really hope you enjoyed it, guys, and you found it helpful. If you did, give us a big thumbs up, and don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like I said, we've got reviews coming thick and fast this year, and we are currently testing some awesome kit behind the scenes, like the Fenix HM65RT 1500 lumens head torch, an awesome bit of kit. That review will be coming to the channel very soon. But we've also got on order a pair of the new exciting trail running shoes from the North Face, the Vectives, and I'm currently putting mileage into a pair of Innovate's Terra Ultra G70s for a review coming to the channel soon. Don't forget to get in the comments, guys, and let us know all about your Asics trail running shoe experiences. Are you running in the Asics Gel-Trabuco 9? Have you had any issues with slippage in the heel? Let us know in the comments below. You can also follow us on our other social media platforms, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, or Strava. But for now, guys, thanks for watching. We will see you in the next video, and as always, stay safe and keep on running.